Hello, I'm Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, and today we're going to be working on this Spin Wondereel Deluxe Model 1800 by Shakespeare. And this one is a date-coded FG. I think that's what it says. Yeah, FG. And this is the one, if you're familiar with my page, maybe you saw the video where we finally broke this cap off, and I'm going to zoom this out just a little bit so you can see a little better. This cap was corroded on, it wouldn't come off, and this is our first time of actually taking it completely off, and we've got a mess in here, I know. Let's see, let's all right, this one has no there we go, finally got it off. Oh my goodness, what a deal we got here. Okay, this, and it will not rotate that way. It will only rotate, okay. Well, that answered one question. This reel is designed to be used as a, kind of like a spinning reel, where it's a hanging style reel. And that's the way it winds. That's a nasty sound. Hopefully we can make it sound better than that. But in order to cast, notice that the pin is out. And in order for this to cast, what you do is you reverse wind it 1/4 turn, if I remember correctly. Yeah, well, no, it's not doing that right now. Okay, well, we'll get this one figured out. And the handle is disintegrating on us as we speak. So let's see if we can get the handle removed and get it out of the picture for the moment, because it's leaking parts all over my bench. All right, we have a lock washer and a handle. The next thing we're going to have to take off, this spinner head is different from any spinner head I've seen before. So we're going to take that off next, or attempt to. Hopefully we're going the right direction. It appears that we are. It seems to have come loose. All right. Now the screw is all the way out, but it doesn't come off. So let's see what we have to do next. There we go. Okay. I'm not sure what we're looking at here, folks. I realize it's a spinner head, but I've changed my lighting here in the last, well, since yesterday, and I'm trying to get more light into what we're dealing with. And all right, so that's our spinner head, and well, I guess we'll have to see as we get in there. And so far, this isn't coming out. And when we wind, let's see, let's put it on, slip this back on over here. Okay, the center shaft rotates up and down, but the spool does not. Okay. And I don't see anything holding anything there. So that's going to bring us down to the side case. And we're going to take off this side first, the blank side. Just a blank cover is all it is. Is there anything that needs to happen on this side? Okay, first thing I want to do is get rid of this excess grease right here so I can see what's going on in here. And I can honestly say that almost every single one of these Shakespeare reels that I've been into so far have been different inside. I see nothing here so far holding the crosswind block. So let's move to the other side. Oh, wait a minute. We have a part that fell out. Oh, okay, this is from the other side. This is from the handle side. And this is a ratcheting gear. It goes on this side over here. Well, hopefully this is going to come. All right, that goes there. Anything else there that's going to come off? Let's see. This part looks like it might come off. Matter of fact, I'm almost certain it's going to once we get something else apart. But we'll see how it goes. All right. One thing that is missing off of this reel is there's a screw broken right here. And we're going to see if we can get that screw out of the slot and get a replacement for it. I may not have a common head screw to go in there as a replacement, but I'm certain that I've got a screw of the right thread to go back in it. All right, now a screw like this broken off in this configuration isn't too bad. As long as it's sticking up like this, we can get a pair of vice grips on it normally and just unscrew it out of there. Sometimes you can even do it by hand. And that's exactly what this one did. Unscrewed by hand. So we'll get a replacement screw for that. And now we've got this center shaft. This piece rides on this gearing. Let's see if this gearing comes out. It does. See, it slides right out. Okay. This reel does not seem to have an anti-reverse. It's got some kind of other odd configuration that it uses. And we'll see if we can get it figured out as we go. So we're going to have to scrub this up just a little bit and clean it and see if we can see exactly how this anti-reverse comes off. And it appears to have a nut on the end. It appears to have a nut and a jam nut. So we're going to pause a minute. This is going to require tools that I don't happen to have up here right now. All right, that took me a moment or two to locate because I'm not used to dealing with stuff that's small. But I have two nuts on here. The top one is a 3/16 and the bottom one is a 1/4. Now the 1/4 isn't a big deal for me. I've got plenty of that. I did have to look around and find my small wrenches to take on this 3/16 here. So we're going to take, well, they came off together. There's a 3/16 and the 1/4 inch is coming off as well. And somebody has added that 3/16 on there because this 1/4 inch nut is supposed to be a jam nut. And it's not jamming very well anymore. I was able to spin it off with my hand. Okay, so we've got that one off, and then somebody came back and added this 3/16 at one time or another, apparently because that was coming loose. All right, let's take a quick look at what we've got here. There is, heading towards the pinion gear, there is a washer. Then there's the crosswind block, and then on the back side there's another washer. Now the crosswind block has a configuration, see, or a direction that it goes, so it can't just go either way. It's going to go in. Wow, that is a well manufactured part. That is a very pretty block. Okay, I'm going to take some of this cotton off of the cotton swab so that I can clean the inside of this, like so. All right, there's the crosswind block. Now the crosswind block is going to go in on this side over here with this curve facing forward, like this. So it'll have a washer, crosswind block, washer, nut, and then I'm going to put that little jam nut back on too. All right, at this point, your axle shaft will come out, and hopefully we can see what's holding the rotor in. Not rotor, the spool. And so far I see nothing holding the spool either way. All right, there is the pinion gear. Does not seem to want to come out either. Let's see. All right, it seems as though there's something inside here on this end holding it. Okay, so let's hold the pinion in place if we can. As I encountered in a previous Shakespeare reel, there is a very small snap ring right here on this center, and that seems to be holding everything in. All right, here comes the snap ring out. Okay, we're going to see if that's even necessary. I know it's necessary to pull this pinion out, but beyond that, I'm not sure it's necessary at all. Let's see what comes out for us next. Okay, we've got a washer, and then that just has to be cleaned. And I still don't see any way to release this spool. But I believe that this spool is going to have to turn in order for the drag to work. All right, subscribers, at this point, I did what I usually don't do. I stopped, I panicked. I said, I'm gonna end up breaking this thing. And so I stopped and I went out and I asked for inputs from you guys. Unfortunately, I'm a very impatient guy. After an hour of not receiving any info back from you guys, I decided to go ahead and go it alone. You know, charge straight ahead. So what I did end up finding out is there's nothing holding this on once you take that clip off, except this was held on by corrosion and dissimilar metal corrosions. So what I ended up having to do to get this off is I went out and I made a tool right here. And I set this up in a vise, across a vise, with 2 pieces of wood across the spool. And I set this up to go inside and drive this out. Okay? Thinking that if I drove down on the center here, it would push the spool up and out of here. Well, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. First off, the pinion gear was out. Okay, I made this tool to fit inside here. Let's take that washer off too. I made this tool to fit inside here so I could drive that down and out. Well, what I should have made, if you ever get yourself in this situation and need to drive this out because it's corroded up, don't make it so that it's driving on the bushing. That's what I was trying to do, was drive down on the bushing to push this off. Well, the outer ring outside the bushing is actually part of this housing. So what I ended up doing was driving the bushing down into the housing, which was a mistake, and it took me a while to get that repaired. I had to flush the bushing back up. What I should have made was one more like this, okay, that would push just on the bushing itself, or the housing, so that this would push this up and out, which it did, okay. I managed to drive that up and out. Once I got that up and out, I was able to take, and I've cleaned this up a little bit. I've got more cleaning to do, but I got it cleaned up. And let's see here. There is a snap ring on here. And I did get this off once before, so let's do it again. Here's the snap ring out. Once the snap ring is off, you can take this washer off. And this one was corroded on. I had to do a little extra coaxing to get it off. But now, once that was done, this was still frozen onto the spool. All right. And so what I did is I repeated the same process, put 2 pieces of wood across a vise so that this would fit down inside there. And then I made this piece so that it would drive all the way down, forcing that out like that. Once I was able to do that, this piece looks great. It's stainless steel. There was nothing wrong with it. This piece was all corroded up inside, so I took a piece of sandpaper and I sanded it down. I've got a little bit more cleaning up to do on that, but it's taken care of, I believe. All right, now what happens, this is how this works. This piece is going to fit down through that spool, and it comes down. There's a pin right here. You see that pin? This is going to come down and fit onto that pin and lock it in place. Now, this up here is held in place by everything else, so it's not going to lift up and off of that pin. Well, when you've got your spool in here, and that's on that pin, there you go. Now the spool is able to turn. This stays locked in place, and that's going to rotate and turn. That's your drag. All right. The inside of your cap has got these felt washers that go around it, and those felt washers come down and they push right along this lip right here. That is your drag for this reel. You tighten the cap down to give you the proper drag. So that's how this works. All right. I'm going to go ahead now that I've just about completely got it all apart. Let's go ahead and pull this off. And there's no shim washer here. None here. All right. I'm going to scrub all these parts up, and we're going to come back and assemble this reel and get you all back up and running. I had put that video out there requesting help from anybody, and didn't get any response back. The video's back down now. So if somebody was working on a response, I appreciate the effort, but I'm very impatient. I don't sit around and wait very long. So my wife was like, can't you just wait? And it's like, no, I got to get this done. So I'm going to go offline, try to clean this up. One thing I do want to point out, this reel is a repaint. I was thinking what I would be able to do is to take some acetone and wipe this down, and this would come right off. It did not. It didn't cut it at all. Then I came back. I even tried some brake and carburetor cleaner to see if that would dissolve the paint. It did not either. So we're going to leave this paint alone, and it's just going to be part of the history of the reel. All right. The felt drags in here, I'm going to take those out, and I'm going to clean them real good with acetone, and then I'm going to use rubber cement to glue them back in. Okay. They should be firmly secured in the reel, and they're not. So we're going to take that out, and we're going to soak that in some acetone to clean it up good, get all the oil off of it, and then we're going to rubber cement it in to this cap. All right, so when I come back in a moment, for you it'll be just a moment, all this stuff will be clean, glued together, ready to go back together, and we'll reassemble this absolutely fantastic little reel. All right, thanks. I'm back. All the parts are cleaned. The felt has been cleaned and glued back on using rubber cement. Hopefully that's going to hold. And I think we're ready to start assembling this again. So let's start off by, well, let's start off right here with this spool and get it put together. Now this piece is going to go down inside of here. And this is one of the pieces that jammed up. So we want to make sure that we lubricate it good. We don't want it to get bound up in there again. So we're going to go ahead and grease this shaft, which by the way looks really nice. And we're going to grease the inside of this one, which we've cleaned up as best we can. It does have some pitting in there from the corrosion. Now this spool is aluminum. It doesn't look like it because it's got this stainless steel top put on it, but the spool itself is actually aluminum, and that's what caused the dissimilar metal corrosion. If they had made the whole thing out of stainless steel, it wouldn't have happened. All right, it slides back down in here, and that turns freely on there, which it couldn't do before at all. All right, we're gonna flip this back over. And this is where we install this copper washer. Put it on there, and we're going to install the snap ring. Now, when I went to take this off, the open gap was exactly where this hole is, or notch is, and we don't want it there to make it easier to take off later. We want to get at least a ½ inch away from that hole, so that we got something to grab hold of in the future. All right, that snaps that snap ring on, and it's ready to go back. I did quite a bit of cleanup on this shaft as well. And again, it's aluminum. And the spool that fit down inside that one was stainless steel, therefore we had dissimilar metal corrosion again. By the way, that is that right there is the bushing that I had to work on to pull back up out of there that I had managed to put down in the hole. All right, this is ready to go back on. Before you do, you want to take this and flip it. Let's see, how did that, I think it is, no, it's not the right way. I think it goes this way. Like that. Okay, that clicker goes in that position right there. This comes down. It's going to rotate around until that little slot that you've got right there drops in. And you know what, let's go ahead and grease this copper washer as well. Just put a little grease on it. I don't know that it's needed, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. And let's grease the inside of this, even though we just greased the post. Now, when all this fits together, rotate it around until that drops down on that post. And there you go. That's on. And now when this rotates, it clicks. That's your drag. Now we've got this down in there. And what we've got to do is put our pinion gear in. We're going to grease that, just the shaft. We're not worried too much about the rest of it yet. And we're going to slide it in, like so. Now it turns freely in there. And we've got two parts that have to go in there that hold that in. The first one is this washer. It fits down in there like this. Hold on to your shaft, or it's going to, or pinion gear, it's going to push back out. And then the tricky one, getting this snap ring back in place. I hold it on one end and I maneuver it around with a screwdriver. And that did not go at all. Let's try it again. Can you see what I'm doing? Okay. Yeah, try to keep this end down and then try to slide the other end around. And get it to drop down into that slot. Like so. And once it does, the pinion gear will rotate. Nope, it's not in there. Keep the other side didn't go down. The first side did. There you go. All right. Snap ring is installed. Rotate it around. Okay. We're making progress. Oh, by the way, there was a shim washer on this pinion gear. Make sure it went back on. Sorry, I meant to tell you that before. We're up to that point. Now, let's go ahead. I believe we're ready to install our axle shaft. And if it looks like I'm putting a little too much grease on everything on this reel, I don't really think this reel's ever going to go fishing again. But I did want it to be able to sit around for years and years and years without having any major difficulties. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, there is a slot on the axle shaft that locks into that pinion gear. If you don't get it into there, it's not going to do. It's just going to sit there and spin and won't go all the way in. Hold your pinion gear in place and rotate your axle shaft. Let's do it again. Hold your pinion gear in place. See, it's going to hit in. Hold your pinion in place, rotate it around until it drops in. All right. Next to go in is a washer. Like so. Then comes your crosswind block. Now your lock nut goes on, which should, when you tighten it down, keep everything locked in place. But in this one, somebody has added a jam nut, which tells me that for some reason it's not doing what it's supposed to do. So go ahead, tighten it all the way down. 1/4 inch wrench. I didn't have to use it when I took it off. Okay, feels like I've got it tight already. Let's hold that, the shaft, and let's try it. Okay, it's not going down all the way because if you look, the washer, see if I can get this up high enough, that washer is not down on the shaft the way it belongs. It's crooked. Let me spin it around and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. All right, that's why it's not going down all the way. So we need to loosen that nut and get that washer all the way on. And it's got crosswind block installed. Bring it around. Okay, now we've got our side plate right here, and we're going to slide our main gear into the side plate. We're going to lubricate it on the shaft and slide it in. Now I have carefully inspected all the teeth on the gear. There are none that are damaged. So we're going to go ahead and lubricate the gears. Put grease in here because that's where your crosswind block rides. And that's probably enough grease, but I'm going to go ahead anyway and put a little on the crosswind block. All right, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. You have to line up that gear inside there, that slot, with this post right here on this gear. So set it in place, and let's see what we're going to have to do to make that happen. In place. Let's see if we think we got it in place properly. We have no wind. What's going on? Let's find it out. Nope, something's not right. See if we can see what's going on. Have I done something wrong? Yes, I have. Okay. When we tighten the jam nut down, here, I tightened it down too tight, and it's not allowing the crosswind block to pivot on the axle. So, let's see about fixing that. There. Now we're going to hold the 1/4 inch and tighten down the 3/16. Or at least that's what we're going to attempt to do, so that you can see it. So we'll bring in the 1/4 inch from underneath so you can see, and there we go, tighten down the 3/16. Now the crosswind block can rotate on the shaft. Let's put it back together again and try it. And now, yes, it turns. There we go. And the shaft goes up and down like it's supposed to. And let's put some screws in. All right, let's see how it winds now. Okay, we got a spring on this side, and this has to do with the release mechanism for casting. All right, I'm going to leave this handle on for the moment. I think I've got one downstairs that we can put on it, but I'm going to leave this one on just so we can continue with our procedure. And before the video is over, I'll go down and see if I've got a good handle for it. There goes that clip. That's your anti-reverse. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. That is the release for your anti-reverse or override. Push it down and slight rotation, and now you no longer have anti-reverse. Okay, click it a little bit and it drops back in. Anti-reverse is back on. All right, that was a part I didn't notice before. All right, we've got the cap cleaned, the rotor cleaned up now. I think we're ready to put it back on. Remember, this pin has to lock into this post right here. And let's go ahead and put a little lube in here. We lubricated right here, a little bit on top, so that this will maintain its ability to free flow. All right, we're going to line this notch up right here with this pin. I don't think it went down all the way. Okay, it's not going to be able to go down all the way as long as that's up. So let's lift that out. Will it go out? Where does that go? Goes out like that. Okay, so we're going to have to bring this out like this and hold it out while this goes on, so that it can go down like that. Once that happens, I'm telling you, this is a different reel, folks. Different from any I've encountered. Well, that's not good. Oh, it's not down all the way. Okay. Remember the original post inside here? Well, come on, what you gonna have to do to get this off? Well, it came right off the first time around. There, it was jammed down. Okay, make sure that this is all the way down on its post, like that, before you put this cap on. All right, now let's line this back up. Lift this out, and you got to do that before you put it on, like so, and hold it out. There we go. All right, when you kick back with this, watch this pin right here when you reverse this. You have to do it quickly. If you do it slow, it doesn't do it. You have to do it quickly, and it releases the pin so that you can cast. And you'll feel it lock when you do it. Like so. Okay. Wow, this isn't a very interesting little reel. Okay, I've got two parts to go try to dig up. I'm going to go try to get a handle, and I'm going to try to get another screw for it. And I will be right back. All right, I'm back, and I will say this: neither the handle nor the screw that I found for this are exact matches for it, but they will both work. They both fit, and they both meet the function of what the reel is supposed to do. So I'm content with that. Okay, we're now going to put the other side plate on, and I believe, and I believe I'm right, that this reel is reversible, that you can go either way. You can swap it around the other way and it'll work just fine. I think that's why it appears that this side is upside down. Now, although this reel is designed to be used upside down. So let's go ahead. This is the screw that I found for it to go in this spot. And it's not an exact match screw, but it will work. There we go. All right, we'll install the handle now, which, as I said, isn't the correct handle, but it will work just fine. All right, I have glued the felts back in, and I believe that this reel's ready to go back together. Again, this is much like other Wonder reels. You need to make sure that the pin is pulled all the way in before you try to put the cover on. It always locks at that one position. Okay, and I'm noticing that my handle is a little bit close. There we go. Let's put this on. And it's still too close, so we're going to adjust it out a little more. Okay. And what you hear now, that's the drag. Click. And I don't know that the drag works or not, but I think what we're going to do, we're going to adjust this handle just a little bit more. Well, ain't that sweet? All right, I'll be back in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and put some line on this because I want to find out whether or not I've managed to repair the drag. I believe I have. And I just want to make sure that I have. And you've got to have this clicked all the way in reverse before you take this off, or it catches on these side pieces. Let me put some line on, see what we got. Oh, okay, I'm back. I put just, 20, 30 yards of monofilament line on it. 12 pound, just to see what we would have. Let's adjust this camera up just a little bit. All right, so we've put some line on it, because I wanted to see if the drag works. And I think I might have it a little too tight. Okay. Yep, you can tighten it all the way down to where you got no drag. But yes, the drag is working. It winds. Now, this is one of those funky reels that when you go to cast it, in order to do so, you have to do a backwards rotation on the handle, like this. Like that. And now, it's in free spool. Line will come out. But when you go to wind back in, it just picks up right, the pin goes, and it winds it back in. All right? So, this is going to be probably a wall hanger. It's functional again. I wanted to see it actually up and operating. I might take it fishing one day just to practice with it. See, go ahead and load a full load of line on it. But I think it's a really unique reel. Another piece of the history of our fishing community. When I first got it, the cover was locked up. The spool was locked to the shaft. Everything in his thing was pretty much bound up. The handle was rotted off like that. But we got this one up and running. It's a save. It can go fishing again. I'm not real crazy about the repaint on it, but that's okay. But I think this is one I'm going to hang on to. It's a really cool reel. And it's just a conversation piece. So anyway, there you have it. That is the Shakespeare Wondereel Spinning Reel Deluxe, model 1800. And it was code model FG. And I'm going to put that in there, what year group that came out of. So if you like what you saw here today, by all means, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, I can understand. This reel was kind of a mess, and it definitely challenged my abilities to be able to turn it again. I really need to show more patience, but we got it up and running. If you'd like to see more reels, more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notifications in the future when I turn out new ones. For now, that's Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.